Alright guys, welcome back. This is another video from Brawler Computer Consultants, and what we're going to do today is going to be doing one of our custom build machines. This one is pretty much what we like to call a budget custom build. For this particular customer, they wanted a machine that they can actually upgrade later on, but didn't need a whole lot of power as far as anything dealing with video editing, music production, or really even in photo editing. This one will be a basic home computer. They wanted something that had great components inside of it, that's a little bit better than what they can get inside the store, and also be able to upgrade it later on without spending a whole lot of money. So what you guys are going to see next is pretty much the components, and then we'll do some unboxing here of the processor, the RAM, and the motherboard. I kind of go over some details about those, and then we'll start putting it together. Okay, first thing that you guys are going to see here is actually me unboxing the motherboard. What we decided to go with on this one is the actual BioStar T-Series motherboard. It is an AMD motherboard. It fits the A75 socket for the AMD. Model number on this one is TA75M. First thing that you kind of see is the manual, which actually has the software and the driver, excuse me there. This one here, just basic information as far as the manual is concerned. So we're going to set that to the side for right now. Let's take a look and see what else BioStar gave us. That's pretty cool. Most manufacturers don't give you that. Next thing you get is the Sata Ports here. Looks like you got 4 of those, which is pretty cool. Gonna set those to the side. Good thing about it here, it does have an adapter for the older power supplies to the new Sata Ports. So that's pretty cool. I always run into having to find one of those later on if I need. This is just the back plate for the case, so we put that over to the side. Now we're going to get to the most important stuff here, which is the actual motherboard itself. Of course, anti-static casing. Let's pull this open here. Take a look and see what we have. Quality is pretty good. I mean, it's for what BioStar actually offering for the price on this one, not bad at all. You can see the ports there. Looks like we have an old PS2 port, which is pretty cool. Some people still have older mice or keyboards. We have, looks like 2.0 USB ports, HDMI port, DVI, and a 15-pin VGA, which is pretty cool. You don't get those features, or you don't get a lot of those features till you get to some of the higher end boards. And like I said, this is a mid to low level board. You have the USB USB 3.0 slots, which you have 2 of those, which is pretty good. You have a wireless, not a wireless LAN. You have a wired LAN there, and I think this one does support gigabit. I have to double check it. And then you have your, your speaker, microphone ports. From here, you have, actually this one will be able to do Crossfire or SLI, which is good in case they decide they want to upgrade and turn this machine into a video editing machine, or turn it into maybe like a low-level gaming machine. Looks like we have a PCI Express port that's sitting there. You got all your plugins for your USB 2.0 and 3.0, motherboard and light plugins here for the case. We have the SATA connections, which are here. SATA connection 3.0 here, and then you have to turn the board to get to the SATA 6 connections, which are pretty good. You got a total of 4, looks like 6 there. So you got pretty good slot for expansion on those. I don't know if you guys can see those. We do have the dual channel RAM slots here, which are pretty good. I think this particular board supports up to 32 gigabytes of RAM, which is not bad. I mean, for the price that we actually paid for this board, it's not a bad board so far. I'm thoroughly impressed from the board. Of course, it's not any of your Asus, Sabertooth boards or anything like that, but still a good standard, good solid board from the looks of it. The next thing we're going to look at is the actual processor here. Now, what we decided to go with, which is the Amd A6 processor. This is an Athlon processor, which is a 4-core processor. And then it also has the Radeon graphics card built in on top of it. So instead of being a CPU, this is what they refer to as an APU. Basically has the graphics card or graphics processor built onto the actual CPU itself. No different than what Intel is actually doing with their i-series processors. That's when you get the HD 3000, 4000 built actually onto the the CPU, so it'll be able to handle some graphics processing without, and pretty medium-sized graphics processing without having to add a graphics card or anything like that, which again cuts down on your pricing some when it comes down to trying to put these machines together. So we're gonna go ahead and open this one up here, see what we have. Alright, we're gonna slide it out. Alright, you'll notice in your packaging here, most of what you get is this little device here, which is your heatsink, which is very important when it comes down to a processor. This one we won't be overclocking, so there's no need to go in and do aftermarket heat sinks or anything like this one, or anything like that. This one will suffice. We're going to keep this one running at, if I'm not mistaken, let's double check it here. Yeah, this one's running at 2.6 with 4 cores. So, very good as far as being able to do just basic processing. Like I said, this one is not really designed to do any video editing, picture. You know, you can do low-level picture editing, those type of things on it. But it's not going to really be put to, you know, very, very strenuous use like what I use here for video editing or anything like that. So, that's the heatsink. Gonna sit that over to the side here with the motherboard. This here is the heart of the computer. This is the AMD, like I said, A6 3600 series, but basically gives you a little sticker there to put on your case, so you have AMD inside, and pretty much this will sit onto the motherboard, and then we'll put the heatsink on top of it. Like I said, this is the pretty much heart of the computer. Not a bad processor. I've actually built a couple of machines using AMD processors. They really good bang for your buck. You get pretty cheap processor versus the cost that you would pay for an Intel. Like a quad-core Intel i5 was about $100 more. So good way to kind of keep down your price if you're on a budget. And then you still don't really compromise anything when it comes down to your performance. The last thing that we're going to look at is the RAM. RAM is about, you know, depends on how you look at it, the second or the third most important thing on your computer. If you ask me, which you're building a good mid to basic level machine, RAM is very important because this is something that's inexpensive that you can make your computer really fly. This particular one is the G-Skill series or G-Skill manufactured dual channel. This one is DDR3 and it's 1333, so it's not the 1600 stuff. But it's a 8 gigabyte setup with 2 4 gigabyte sticks in it. So pretty good as far as basic. Last but not least, what we'll be doing is a case. Again, this one is a very budget friendly case. I picked this one up for pretty good price on it. Not a bad, I think the one that actually made this one is Logic's, if I'm not mistaken, on this particular case here. Nice little clean finish on the front, which is not bad at all. We're going to turn it around to the back here. You know, it has plenty of slots, if you guys can see there, plenty of slots to be able to add add-on cards if you wanted to. This particular one, again, I was looking at making sure the budget was right where it needed to be for the customer. It already has a power supply, built into it. This one, it has a 400 power supply inside of it, so it'll definitely be able to power whatever we're putting in here for right now. Like I stated, no big video cards or anything like this is going in this one right now. If we do decide that we want to add something like that later on, then we definitely can upgrade the power supply. Okay, now guys, what we're going to do is actually do the installation of the CPU onto the motherboard. Basically, what we're going to do is sit it down here on this socket. What you want to do is when you sit it down here, don't want to bend any of the cables or any of the pins, So you don't force it or anything like that. It should just sit down. This little lever here, push down, locks it into place. Next thing we're going to install is the actual cooling system on the CPU. This particular one, I don't know if you guys can see it on the video, it already has the thermal compounds sticker on it, so therefore we don't have to add any. Normally we would use thermal compound to put it on there. It's just a silver, pretty much silver paste, that basically keeps the computer cool. It helps take the heat off of the processor, good transfer over to the heat sink where the fan can cool it down. Acts more like a conductor basically to pull the heat away from the CPU. Since we already have the motherboard and everything out, we're going to go ahead and install the RAM inside the machine. This way, you know, we already have it there. When we get ready to lock the motherboard in place into the case, then we don't have to worry about dealing with any of that. So just pop the sticks out here. One thing with dual channel memory, you want to make sure you put them into the what we call the main slots or the home slots. On this board, it's the two white ones, and that'll just make sure your RAM performs at optimal level. And that's basically the installation of the CPU as well as of the RAM that's on the machine. Right now, with this being a very basic build, we don't have any video cards that we're going to pop in here, no expansion cards that we're putting in here. You know, everything else is going to be buttoned down and tied in once we get the machine down inside the actual case itself. So we'll be back. We're going to go ahead and get the case up on the bench, and then we can go ahead and install the motherboard. Now we have the motherboard secured properly inside. It's basically just held down by 7 screws here from sitting on top of the bumpers that we actually have. The next thing that we're going to do now is go ahead and start connecting the power supply to the motherboard to get the power, as well as connect the auxiliary plug-ins to be able to get the power button working, the USB ports on the front, as well as the microphone and the headphone ports working on the front. Alright guys, as you can see, we have finished up installing the motherboard. We put the DVD-ROM drive inside the machine here. Turn it around to the front so you guys can check that out. So that is a DVD burner, player, CD recorder. So we got that installed. Also here, we got the motherboard put in. Did a little bit of wire management, still not quite finished because still got to get the hard drive and everything. Finishing up our custom build machine. As you can see here, we got it booted up. It's pulling up Windows 8, which you can see there on the left hand screen. Basically, this is almost the end of our build. We want to make sure that everything else comes up properly and correctly for us, and then we'll be pretty much ready to go. Couple of things that we have here. Of course, I just have a keyboard here because it's plugged into this one. We are running Windows 8 on this right now just to see if it boots, and that'll be pretty much the end of our build with the AMD A6 quad-core APU, and voila, there you go. It boots up perfectly fine. Definitely more on the White Samurai, which is the higher end machine. You'll also get a chance to see what we're able to do when the sky's the limit as far as being able to build the ultimate machine. The Samurai that I'm going to show you guys next video, of course, is a year-old machine now. In computers, that's completely old. But, you know, you guys will definitely get a chance to see that. So until next time, we'll see you guys later.